And it's showtime. So if anybody's watching YouTube, let me know if we've successfully gone live. I think so. Oh, I'm sure we did. I just heard my telephone go off. So good morning, everybody. Welcome to Blue Marble Science. And we're going to have a debate between Bebby and Mike Jones this morning. Good morning, guys.
Morning. Good morning, Wally. I think Wally needs to log off and log back in again.
Where did Mike go?
I don't know. I got a DM from Wally, said he's not going to be speaking, so we don't need to worry.
No, we don't need to worry.
Good morning.
It's Mike. Yeah. Hi, Mike. Can you hear us? No, he can hear us, but
I
he
can
can't.
now. I can now.
You there, Mike?
Yeah.
Yep.
You hearing him okay, Bebby?
Yep.
Okay.
I can't hear Mike very well, though.
Maybe my volume is down. On
That's
your
fine. I can
end.
hear you now.
I'm hearing him. I'm hearing Mike fine, quite loud actually. So
We're all good.
Well, the
So
volumes look good on YouTube, so I'm going to go on mute and you guys carry on.
It's strange. The title is weird because the subject is the double below. Is it possible for two people to be below each other at the same time? Not what the direction of down is.
Yeah, fair enough.
Why is that? Yeah, okay, good. Blue, can you fix the title? Since Betty said fair enough.
There's no point fixing the title.
Okay, but we all understand that the subject is it possible for two people to be below each other simultaneously?
Yeah. We understand. Here are the 4 things.
Okay.
We want to establish the truth.
We understand. We understand that that's absurd, right? I mean, you DM'd me and said that's idiotic.
Yeah.
Bleedingly obvious.
Can we start with the rules, please, Mike? Whenever you're ready.
Rules?
Rules.
Okay. I mean, I don't have any rules. Just don't insult me. That's my only rule.
Yeah. Rules, no insults. 1.
Excellent.
Second rule: straight answers to straight questions. If I ask you a question, saying
why
you
would
don't
you be
know is
asking?
okay.
Why would you be asking questions?
I'll be asking questions of you.
Why?
We want to establish agreement, and
we're already in agreement that two people can't be below each other, though. At the same time.
Right. We're not going to get any further unless you agree to point 2. We're not playing poker. You're not sitting there sort of having something in your head that you're not going to tell us. If I ask you a question, you answer. And likewise, if you ask me a question, okay, I will answer in good faith.
Great. Are you cheating on your wife?
Personal questions, not allowed. Religion, not allowed. Anything personal, where do I live, not allowed. Straight answers on the subject matter to straight questions on the subject matter.
The subject matter being two people simultaneously able to be below each other.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, the 4...
Which we already agree on.
The 4 points, no, we haven't agreed on, well, let's see. We agree definitions at the beginning. All of this disagreement is about what words mean. Definitions establish what a word means, right?
No. This isn't just about what words mean, I guarantee you.
Well, we start with what words mean, and then we decide, based on those definitions, whether we agree on those propositions. Okay with that?
All right, but we've already agreed on below because we both know it's impossible.
Yeah, Mike, you're jumping ahead. Just on the rules, are you happy with agreeing definitions?
I can't believe that this is as structured as it is.
Yeah, that's how we do it.
This is very serious.
Yeah.
Two people below each other simultaneously. We need to. Should we do this in the Cambridge Society?
Mike, you're talking about you're jumping ahead. Are we happy? Are you happy? Straight answers to straight questions.
Are you happy?
Don't interrupt, please. 5th rule: no interruption. Are you happy? We agree definitions before we do anything.
You know, it's very difficult to say what my feelings are right now. I mean, that's a subjective thing.
Do you
You
agree?
stated some rules.
Do
Do I agree with your rules? I mean, we've already got an issue with the topic. Blue said, "What's the direction of down?" When it is, is it possible for two people to be physically below each other at the same time? And just for the record, I'm currently hiking with my dog. So if I sound out of breath, it's because none of you know what exercise is.
Point 3, are you happy? I mean, i.e., do you agree to agree definitions at the beginning? Yes or no?
Well,
Straight question.
below, we're gonna define below.
Are you happy, i.e., do you agree to settle upon definitions of the key terms at the outset, Mike? I've asked you 4 times.
I mean, if we're gonna go, you mean dictionary definitions?
No,
We're just going to open the dictionary and look for a definition for below.
Can you see the 4 rules on your phone?
No, I have my phone in my pocket. I'm walking.
Are you walking?
Gentlemen.
Okay. Well, the third bullet point says the third rule is we agree definitions.
And
well, we have to know what the definition. We have to know what the definitions are before we agree on them.
We agree on what the meaning.
No
of
interrupting was a rule too, by the way.
Yeah, right, gentlemen. When we define definitions, they do not have to be from the dictionary. We just have to agree on what they mean for this conversation.
Okay. Okay.
Are you okay? Sorry. Are you okay with that, Mike?
Just for this conversation, so the definition can change in another conversation?
The definition stays as agreed unless we agree to change the definition.
You're joking.
Well, hopefully we won't. In my discipline, and also in mathematics and science disciplines, you settle on the definitions at the beginning of any article or paper. You say, I will mean this by this. Very simple thing to do. I don't see why you're struggling.
No, it's just hilarious because it's a discussion about the word below. About the word below. You're discussing your discipline, and we're going to have a discussion about the word below. Like, seriously.
Yes. Yep. That's right.
Okay.
Mike, we end here. If you can't agree on definitions, then we stop here.
I'm going to, if I agree with the definition, I'll agree with the definition. I'm not going to agree to a definition you haven't stated.
No, because we haven't got round to stating it yet. We're 5 minutes in, aren't we?
Great. So let's hold the agreement on definitions part until we actually have some.
We agree now that we will settle on what the definition is, and then we agree it.
Well, settling on it is a question as well, isn't it?
I think you're agreed, yeah? I think you're agreed on that point.
Proceed, Betty.
Yeah, okay. To establish, first proposition, whether it is possible for A to be below B and B to be below A at the same time. This hangs upon the definition of below.
And by A and B, we mean two people. We were discussing people.
Yeah, we're discussing people. Good. So definition 1, A is below B.
So let's cover that.
Definition 1, A is below B. We can define it in a number of ways. I'll define it as A is closer to mean sea level than B, or equivalently, A has a lower elevation than B. Are you happy to agree on that definition?
A is closer to mean sea level than B?
Yeah.
So like a single datum at one point in a location.
Yeah.
Or just one point though. The datum is just in one location. Why don't we just use like the surface of liquid water in a canal?
Well, equivalently, A has a lower elevation than B. Yeah. Okay, let's have a canal. A is at one end of the canal, B is at the other end. Perhaps they're 100 miles apart.
Excellent.
Yeah?
6 miles is 6 miles is enough.
6 miles is enough. I get where you're coming from. Right. If A is below B, then A has a lower elevation than B, which means A, excuse me, A will be closer to the surface of the canal than B.
Correct.
Correct. We got there.
Yeah, I'm proud of you.
Yeah, I'm proud of you, Mike.
Well done.
You okay?
Yeah, we're two people standing on a frozen canal. If they're both the same height, if one is at one end of the canal and the other is at the other end of the canal, neither is lower than the other.
You got it. So below is an
There's a-
asymmetric relation in mathematics. I less than, closer than is asymmetric. So A cannot be below B and B below A at the same time. We both agree on that.
We agree.
Right. Right. Proposition 2. Whether it's possible for A to be below the eye level of B and B below the eye level of A at the same time. Again, we need to define below the eye level. Right.
You sure do.
B is below A's eye level. I say it means B lies below a horizontal established at A's eye.
And you believe that horizontal extends infinitely.
Yeah, we can extend. Euclid says we can extend a straight line as far as we like. Yeah.
Great. And the drop from that horizontal, you would say, is an elevation change.
I didn't say that.
The drop from the horizontal isn't an elevation change?
We're saying B is below A's eye level means B lies below a horizontal established at A's eye. So we start
we
with
just
A's
established. We just established what below means. Below meaning a different elevation.
Yeah.
We just established that.
Yeah, correct.
Yeah, so the drop from horizontal down to the surface of water would be an elevation change.
The drop from the horizontal line established at A's eye, yeah. B will be at an elevation.
And that horizontal extends straight over to B. That would be a horizontal line extending from A to B.
Well, you're assuming that the horizontal established at A's eye. Let's assume A and B are at the same.
Physically?
Okay. Can I finish? Let's assume that A and B are at the same elevation. They're 6 miles apart from each other.
We just said they were. They're both standing on ice in a 6 mile canal. Well, you keep interrupting me, Benny. Why do you do that? Why do you keep interrupting me?
You interrupted me. I was speaking.
Okay, I'll note it for the next time.
Can I finish them? Can I finish?
I don't want to interrupt you, Betty.
Okay. Oh, you can say yes. I asked you a question. Can I finish?
You can do whatever you like, Betty. It's your forum. The discussion about two people being below each other at the same time.
Let's start again. Let's assume A and B are people, and they're at the same elevation. They're on the surface or close to the surface of the 6 mile long canal. Is that okay?
It's a frozen canal. They're actually standing on
it. Yeah. Then I say B is below I's level means B lies below a horizontal established at A's eye. That's all. We're just defining. You interrupted. Sorry. I'll lose a point for shouting.
How do you plan to establish the horizontal?
Yeah, that's the next question. Are we okay with that definition? B lies below a horizontal established at A's eye.
Not physically, you mean, because it can't be physical. B's eyes can't be physically below A's eyes. They're two people the same height standing on ice.
Right.
Opposite ends of a hockey rink. Same thing.
Right.
Skate away from each other. They're both the same height.
Yeah, but the definition.
They're still the same height at the end of the hockey rink.
The definition was B lies below a horizontal established at A's eye.
Physically, not optically. Physically.
Well, if you lie below, then you physically lie below.
Physically. All right.
So you
So
can
you're
mentally
saying
lie
that
below.
you're going to say that a person in the distance is physically below a person that is the same height as somebody
No,
who
I'm
has skated
saying
away from them is physically below the person who is still at the one end of the hockey rink.
no, I didn't say that. I said we're defining below A's eye level.
And A's eye level is a horizontal that you're going to try to make it what? How you gonna transfer that horizontal along that water?
Well, you just project the line.
How do you project it? What are you going to use to project it?
Ah, right. Okay. So the question is, how do you? Interesting question. How do you project a line? Well,
Yeah,
you could.
physically, because we're looking for a physical drop.
You could shine a laser. Well, there are two separate questions here. One is what you mean by projecting a line. You can imagine a line. You can mathematically establish
Yeah,
a line.
but imagining a line going from
Right.
one end of a hockey rink to another is just, you might as well just take the boards around the hockey rink and say, okay, this is the same line going around the boards. You know where it is. You know the height of whatever you're looking at the other end.
I see. So you're saying if we have a 3-foot pole at B's end and a 3-foot pole at A's
just
end,
you could literally make a wall. You can make a, do a hockey rink. The walls
Yeah.
at the hockey rink are all the same height all the way around.
they will be the same height. They will be same they will be the same distance. They will be the same height over the hockey rink or the canal. Let's do the canal.
Well, it's
If I
easier to think
construct-
about with a hockey rink because you know it's completely smooth.
I prefer a canal because you started with the 6-mile canal. It's
That's
very,
fine.
very hard.
6 mile canal, same thing. We'll put 3-foot boards all the way
Yeah.
along the length of the canal.
Yes. Okay. And we'll then establish a horizontal.
Establish a straight line of boards
Establish a
from one
straight
end of the
line.
canal to another.
Right. So are you not assuming there that if you have 3-foot boards all along the length of that 6 miles canal, you're assuming the tips of those boards will form a straight line? Is that correct?
Just like they do on a hockey rink.
Right. So you're making an assumption there.
No, I've gone to hockey games. In fact, it's the playoffs right now, and I was at one the other night.
Okay. And it looked
No,
absolutely
it's measured. Trust me, they're very serious about their measuring in the NHL.
Okay. Right. But that's because they're constructing something that's 3 feet or a meter above the surface, above the ice. Correct?
I don't know the official height of the boards. I would suggest it's probably higher than that.
Do you know?
It's above hip height.
So how do you know that line of boards or poles?
The NHL publishes it.
What were they publishing? The height.
They publish the dimensions for their ice rinks. They're all the same.
Yeah. So let's go back to
And
the
the
canal.
boards.
We've got
It's the same. It's the exact same principle.
So we
Ice.
have our line of. Go ahead, Mike. Don't want to interrupt. So we have our poles, our 3-foot poles, all along the line of the 6-mile long canal. You are assuming that the tips of those poles will form a straight line.
The NHL doesn't assume it. They build them that way.
Okay. How do they establish the straightness?
They're all of an equal elevation above the ice.
Oh, right. So they've established all those poles are at equal, or the fences are at equal elevation. Have they established it? Have they established that the line formed up by the tip of those poles is straight?
You can lay them down on the ground, and it's all the same length. They're all the same length on the ground as well.
Okay.
They don't raise and lower.
So we agreed on that. We have a surface of ice. Yeah. We have bunch of poles of a known height, of a determined height. They've measured the height carefully, and they have erected those poles vertically along a
Yep.
hockey ring or a canal. How do they establish that that line is straight? It's a different
Well,
question.
they're all,
The fact that they're the
the
same.
poles are all the same length. If they're constructed to be the same length, it's the boards of a hockey rink.
How do we know? How do we know?
The NHL publishes it.
It publishes, well, the definition is it's height above the ice, correct?
Yeah, but they're all the same length. I mean, how would you do it if they're not the same length? Where do you take the longer length boards and put them?
Sure, we're agreed that we are agreed that the tips of those poles are the same height above the ice.
Yeah, and they're all the same. Those poles are all the same length.
How do we test?
Because how could they not be the same length? How did you build a hockey rink with boards around the ice if the boards aren't the same height? Are some taller than others?
I'm not.
You just lay them on the ground and stack them up.
I'm not disputing that the poles are exactly the same height. I'm not disputing that.
Great. So they're all the exact same length. You can lay them down on the ground. They're the same length.
They're all the same length. Therefore, they're the same height. Once made vertical.
Therefore, that's a straight line. You can lie them on the ground. You can lie them on the ground flat.
Your definition of straight. Your definition of straight is now equal height. Equal height over
the tips if you lie them on the ground. 3-foot boards laid flat down on the ground.
You seem to be confusing equal height with straight.
Length. I'm just talking about the length of the boards.
I'm
talking about the length of all the boards. Take a bunch of 3-foot length boards, lay them down on the ground. The ends meet, correct? You can stack them. You can lay them you can make a floor out of them. They'll all be the same length. They don't change length.
We have agreed, Mike, that all the poles are exactly the same length, even though that's hard to do in practice, right? We've now agreed that
you just stand them up. They just stand them up and put them around the ice rink.
Then you stand them up. Yeah.
And you put them around the ice rink. Yeah.
Yeah. Then we establish. Then how do you establish that the tips of those poles form a straight line or a plane or whatever? How do we?
Because there's a universal board height. You can't have the hockey players would say, "Oh, let's skate over there where the board is lower, so I can really fuck up this guy's hip." The boards are going to have to be the same height.
No, the board.
They're laying down on the ground. If they're all the same length, laying on the ground, that's a straight line. You stand them up; they're all the same length as well. That's a straight line.
Well, no, that's not.
Yeah, of course.
Well, that is true, so long as the surface of the ice forms a plane, right?
Well, the boards are of an equal elevation, and they're all the same length. You can lay them on the ground.
The boards are the same height over the ice.
And they're all the same length if you lay them on the ground next to each other.
Yeah, we've agreed that. I've agreed that like 5.
That's a straight line. That's a straight line, Betty. You can't see that that's a straight line?
No, I can't. If the situation
you can't see that boards of an equal length that are laying down on the ground, level, lay them down, line them up.
Sorry, Mike.
They're all 3 feet long.
We're talking about the situation where
both ends are going to be parallel, right? The 3-foot boards.
I'm going to wait
both
a bit.
Both sides.
I shall wait till you finish.
Are you done? Thanks. So you lay them down on the, you can lay them down on the ice. Take all the boards. They're all 3 feet long, or 4 feet, or whatever the height of a board is, and lay them all down. make a nice long two lines, the two ends side by side, two parallel straight lines. 3-foot boards.
Can I start speaking? I shall start speaking. The situation we're talking about. I shall speak again. The situation we're talking about is erecting the boards or the poles vertical, i.e. perpendicular at each point to the ice, right? Do you agree with that?
Perpendicular, yes.
We'll make each pole, not sure about boards, let's just do pole if that's okay. We erect each pole perpendicular to the surface of the ice at that point, at each point. And
they're all the same length.
Let's agree each pole is exactly the same length as any other pole, right?
Correct.
That is all we've established. We have a surface of ice, and we have, which could be of any shape. We have the surface of ice, and then
the surface of ice isn't of any shape. It's level. The ice is a sheet of hockey ice. Let's just, we ran a Zamboni down it. Let's just say we ran a Zamboni down it.
Sorry, forgive my ignorance. What is a Zamboni?
Oh, you should watch hockey, Betty. It's a wonderful sport.
Oh, we don't do hockey
in between
in England.
Oh, come on. They do it in Sweden, and that's not far from you. So a Zamboni is the machine in between periods where they clean up the ice.
Okay.
It basically heats up the ice, and then it refreezes, and it takes out all the marks from the NHL players' skates.
Okay.
And
so
that's, obviously it has a long horizontal thing in the front of it that just kind of, makes all the ice perfectly level.
So we have melted the ice. Just let me finish now. We have melted the ice, and then we let it freeze again, correct?
Correct, with a Zamboni.
Yeah, well, we've melted the ice, and it is frozen again, yeah?
Yeah, we've smoothed it over, correct.
You are now assuming that the shape of that surface of the ice is planar, correct? Are you assuming that or not? Great question. Are you assuming that the shape? I'm still there. I asked a question. We have melted the ice and we've frozen it again.
Did I lose you, Betty?
Can you hear me?
I may be in a dead zone.
Alan, can you hear me?
I can hear Bebby. I can hear you fine. Mike,
thank you.
I
think Mike's in a. I've lost Mike.
Yeah, I can't. Can you hear me now?
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you now. I'm just walking the dog.
Yeah. Okay, I had a question for you, Mike.
Sure.
We melt the ice and we freeze it again. We do nothing to it while it's freezing. We just wait and it freezes.
Well, there's a machine at NHL rinks called the Zamboni.
Well, that just
smooths it. It smooths it too. It has in the front of it. It has like this. It's big. It's like, I don't know, 8-10 feet wide.
Okay, but can I ask?
Straight sweeper that sweeps down the ice to make it level.
So you've somehow planed it by but what?
Yeah, it's planar.
I'm interested in the question. We can't do this to a canal. I'm interested in the question.
Sure you can. You can put a Zamboni on a canal. Of course you can. They do it in Canada all the time. I have a buddy who skates down there's miles of ice.
My question is, if we let the ice melt and then let it freeze on its own again, what shape will the ice form? Will it be a plane?
The same shape as if you ran the Zamboni over it. Maybe a little bumpier. Bumpier than if you ran the Zamboni over it.
Okay, so it will be, or assuming that shape is planar, correct?
Well, planar isn't really a shape; it's kind of an aspect. But
the planar is not a shape.
It's a solid 3D surface, and the top of that surface is smooth.
Is it planar?
Oh, of course it's planar.
It's planar, right? Thank you for that.
Yeah, the
So
surface, not the shape of the water. The water is just the shape of, it's got a depth to it, obviously.
the shape of the surface, okay? You're saying
No,
by
the surface
assumption,
doesn't have a shape. The surface doesn't have a shape. The surface is just, it can be smooth. We can call it smooth, but it
smooth is
doesn't have a
different
shape.
from planar.
Well, it's certainly planar because or as planar as you can get with, the Zamboni running over it.
The property of a planar surface is that you can draw.
No part being higher than another, everything within the plane.
No, that's not the definition. The definition of plane is if we
Well, I
construct
mean, obviously, in terms of a hockey rink, it would be that way, but okay, whatever the official definition is fine.
planar, and my mathematical friends can correct me if I'm wrong. Planar is you take any 2 points and you draw a straight line between them. Every point on that line will be in that plane.
Yes.
Yes.
No point within a plane and without a plane. You're going to have your straight lines within the plane.
That's right. So it took us a while to get here, but you are assuming that when we melt the ice of whatever size it is, make sure the air is perfectly still, and you freeze the ice, the surface of that ice will form a plane as defined. That is your assumption.
Well, so it'll be a planar surface like it is in the NHL.
Well, whatever. Does the NHL have a different kind of planar surface? Or? I don't think
that's what hockey rinks are. They're just planar surfaces that people skate on.
And you're confirming that with or without the Zamboni, if water melts, it then freezes again. Perfectly still.
It's got to be very still. It's got to be extremely still. But yeah,
very still. It will form a planar surface, as defined.
I mean, again, it's not. The surface is going to be three-dimensional no matter what you do, because we're in reality. You can't take a planar surface and put it in reality. Planar is just a concept.
So it's not planar.
It's going to have tiny, tiny little undulations. If you got a microscope out, you'd see the little pitting. It's going to be very close to plate glass.
Very close to plate glass, okay. And if we took 2 points very far apart from each other and we drew a straight line between those 2 points, every point would be in that plane.
Now, the bottoms will all be attached to the plane of the ice, and the tops will all be an equal elevation from the ice because they're all the same length.
So which tops are we talking about now?
The tops of the poles, the tops of the boards that are going around the NHL ring. Right, we're good there, right?
Yeah, you have assumed. And this is important.
Well, it's not an assumption. The NHL has really, really strict regulations. I mean, they have Olympic hockey too, for crying out loud.
We have assumed, or you have assumed,
that. Take it up with the NHL. They're the ones who are assuming it. If you want to call it an assumption, they do this every day. It's playoff season.
You have assumed.
I haven't. I'm trusting the NHL.
So what about?
I've physically gone to the games and I've skated.
Okay, so are you saying it's different for canals? There's one sort of thing established for.
No. Ice is ice. You can make it any length you want.
Ice is ice. Okay, so let's move to our 6-mile canal.
Same thing as a hockey rink. Doesn't change.
Same thing as a hockey rink. We allow the water to melt. Let's say the water is melted. Still perfectly still conditions. Temperature goes below 0. The surface of that ice will form a plane as defined.
Not a plane. It'll be the surface of the ice will be smooth and as close to creating a plane as you could possibly get in reality, or very, very close, like plate glass.
Right. So we can use the word approximate here. It will approximate a plane.
I mean, within microns, probably, like plate glass, micrometers.
So let's take Lake Michigan. What you said wasn't a very good example, but I mean, presumably.
Lake Michigan, you're not going to freeze all of Lake Michigan. Let's just stick with a canal, 6 miles.
All right, let's stick with a canal. But your point is the surface of that ice will form a plane. Moreover, if you just draw a straight line from one end at A to B at another, you're assuming that that
Well,
line
you
will
can't, you
touch.
can't draw it. You don't draw lines in the air. You just erect boards like you do erect them around a hockey rink.
Well, yeah, sure, okay. And then
They're obviously the boards are all the same length. You cut them in a wood shop, and then they're all an equal elevation above the ice as you go down, just like the boards in the NHL.
I think we're totally on the same page here, which is great.
Right.
Unfortunately, you can't see the diagram I've got here. I've defined line of sight. Let me go through another couple of definitions, because the key is how we establish that canal is straight, or that the poles we've erected on the canal form a straight line. So I define a visual array.
You cut them in a woodworking shop, and you lined them all the way down the canal. The tops are all the same height in the woodworking shop.
You are assuming that.
I'm assuming woodworking is good enough to cut 3-foot length boards or whatever the height of a board is in hockey.
Could I ask a favor, Mike? I've totally agreed with this all along. We're assuming we can cut boards or poles of equal length. I know that.
So there's no assumption. They're all the same length.
Yes, I agree that. You keep going on as though I'm not agreeing that. Yeah, I'm totally agreeing that. We then erect those poles vertically in a long line for 6 miles, say every 100 feet or so. The question is
shared straight line segment.
The question is the tips of those poles, are they going to form a straight line? At which point you're going to say they must form a straight line because they're all the same height, they're the same length, correct?
Well, no, because the NHL doesn't there aren't spots in a rink where you can bang somebody into the boards and hurt their hip more.
Does the NHL do canals? Not to my knowledge.
You're saying that an ice rink is different than a canal?
I'm just using the canal as an example.
It's the surface of ice.
Right. And
what's so special about a canal?
It's longer. It's longer.
Okay. And so your straight lines that are going around the boards of an ice rink, if you extend that straight line, Euclidean geometry, you can extend it. You just said to me you can extend it infinitely.
Yes, of course you can extend it. You can
so
erect the poles.
It's straight in the NHL. How is it not straight on the canal?
Well, we didn't say I didn't agree with straight in the NHL. I agreed. Now listen carefully.
Wait. Do you not?
Listen carefully. Now, you did interrupt me there. Do not interrupt. Okay?
I'm not your student. Okay? You don't have to yell at me.
In that case, Mike, don't interrupt.
We're having a conversation, Alan.
I'll start now. I'm asking you if we erect these poles of equal height, we've agreed that, vertically along the line of the canal, which will be no different to the NHL, but I just want to use this as an example. You are saying, well, the question is, do the tips of those poles form a straight line? How do we test that? You don't have the knob.
You make the same poles. You use the same poles the NHL uses. You ask the NHL to do it.
Okay. Now, I'm going to talk about line of sight here.
Why?
Because we want to
test. It's an ambiguous term. It's ambiguous. You can't define line of sight.
We can give a precise definition. Unfortunately, you can't see the diagrams I've drawn here, but I've got an eye. I've got a line, point B and point A, and we're looking along that line. And what I see is, and people on YouTube can see this, hopefully. Alan, can you see the new diagram?
Yes, but I'm not looking at the YouTube.
Yeah, that's true. We don't, but you can see it.
Yeah.
So I've got a target lined up here with a crosshair, and the point where the hairs cross have lined up with the target. So we're looking down sort of the sights of a gun. Line of sight is...
How far? How far is that, though? How far?
Yeah, it looks like 100 meters to me.
All right, that's probably probably right at the edge of the capabilities of the tool, but okay. Yeah. It'll probably be pretty close. The best way to test it is just take boards. Just take boards and put them all the way around.
Yeah, we look along. So we've got three things. We've got point A, point B, and the eye. And A, B, and my eye are on the same line of sight. If B just sort of obscures A, B overlies the top of A. That's how you know.
But you recognize.
Sorry. Go on.
Sorry, I interrupted. You can finish, and then I'll jump in.
Yeah, line of sight. A, B, and my eye. Right. You want to talk now? A, B, and my eye will be on the same line of sight if B obscures A. So A is at one end, B is in the middle, my eye is at the other end. If B superposes on A, if it just obscures A, then we know that A, B, and my eye are on the same line of sight. That's a perfectly precise definition.
Again, you know, if you're going to use an auto level, you'll probably be able to do it pretty good for 50 meters, maybe a little longer than that. But then obviously, as you said, things appear to get lower in the distance. I mean, I have that from you. As you go further away, they appear to get lower.
But they don't.
They don't actually get lower. They just appear.
Ah, okay. Right. Well, I just wanted to define the idea of a line of sight.
Yeah, well, I mean, if you look in the level is horizontal chat, maybe you could put this up on your screen. So there's a canal, and you're at one end, and we got a camera, and we're zooming in on the other end, 6 miles away.
Yeah, but I'm not talking about
and you can see the same elevation all the way down.
I'm just talking about. I'm just asking if you agree to the definition of the line of sight, namely where you have my eye.
Like with crosshairs, maybe 50 meters. Because auto levels are just, they don't have a zoom. They don't have a zoom on them.
So
if you look in the if you look in the chat, I've got a GIF posted where I'm just looking over. Well, actually, not me. A friend of mine is looking over a canal, and the canal is 6 miles long. And he just zooms in on the far bridge. The two bridges are 6 miles apart, and you can see that the other bridge is at the same level as the bridge between.
Yeah, you're making. Unfortunately, I can't see this because I'm on this laptop. I can't see the chat. But my question was, Mike, do we agree that if B is superposed on A,
what do you mean superposed?
From where I'm looking at, then my eye, B and A must lie in a straight line? Do you agree that? I think you don't agree that, actually.
No, over 50 meters or so with an auto level, you can probably keep something in the distance on the crosshair.
We don't need an auto level. We just need. Well,
no, you need a tool. You can't just go, I've got a line, imaginary line coming out of my eye. You need a tool for that.
You need 2 points, A and B, which are well
and
defined.
A tool.
And my eye, and this works for much longer than 50 meters. I can guarantee you.
Maybe 80 or 90. I mean, just that's about it. I mean, talk to surveyors.
Is your point? I just want to understand the claim you're making. I think you're saying that this superposition idea will work for short distances, but for very long distances. So I can still see A, I can still see B, and I've just moved my eye so that B and A are lined up.
Well, you're not moving your eye. You're using a tool. The tool is leveled, and it's got crosshairs in it. The tool's called an auto level.
I'm not using a tool. I've just got my eye.
Why not? How do you know? If you're just looking at something, how do you know? Oh, like you're drawing dots in the air?
All I'm saying, well, I know they're not dots; they're actual points. So a bridge.
No, points are not physical. Let's geometric points are not physical.
Small blobs, shall we say?
They're floating in the air? Where are these blobs? Why don't we just use 3-foot boards?
We could use 3-foot boards, yeah. So absolutely. So if I line my eye at one end of the boards, well,
for about 50 meters, the far end of the boards, though, they'll basically line up. When you get
They'll
further
line
than
up.
that,
Okay, we agreed that.
for
but
about 50 meters, using an auto level. I mean, you got to use an auto level to see the line. You got to have a horizontal line and a vertical line. You know, crosshairs in an auto
right,
level.
but
You can't just guess with your eye.
actually, you can do this for much longer distances, as long as the objects A and B are large enough.
Well, but we're using an auto level. Is somebody helping you? Did you get that from somebody else?
Did I get what from somebody else?
That last line just sounded very much added by somebody else.
No, I don't know what the last line was. I can't remember.
Okay, if it's large enough, you said.
Yeah.
Things get small. We agree that things get smaller in the distance, right? If they appear to be smaller in the distance.
Things get smaller in the distance. The question is...
They appear to be smaller.
Question is whether our line of sight gets distorted with a longer distance.
With an auto level. With an auto level within the range of the tool, should be good. You'll need a rod. You'll need a measuring rod to be able to see the hashtags, so you'll be able to go, okay,
so
line the crosshairs up.
You have rod A, the tip of rod A, with some little bit of paint stuck on it. So
you don't need to do tip. I'd do the middle of a rod somewhere. It's easier to see the lines.
Okay, yeah, whatever. We've got rod B, and you've marked with paint large enough so that the eye can see. It's what
Well, I mean, the millimeters. You can do millimeters on these things.
1/60th of a degree is the
millimeters. Just length, millimeters.
Yeah, this is taking a long time, but
you're talking about a straight line. You're struggling with a straight line. I mean, I get that it's taking a long time, but you're having trouble agreeing that boards of cut of an equal length in an NHL hockey rink, the boards are the same height all the way around. I mean, call the NHL.
Will they form a straight line is the question.
The NHL says they do. The NHL is very confident in their measurements, and so does the Olympic Committee.
What does the NHL say about canals?
Well, so you're saying the straight line around the thing, if we extend it geometrically, using the same boards, won't continue to be a straight line?
I'm saying that, yeah.
Really?
Actually, no.
How do you plan to try to prove that? Have you tried that? I mean, have you seen my GIF? You're talking over me. Sorry.
No, I can't see there.
Maybe Blue can put it up on the screen since he's streaming it.
What I'm trying to get to is whether the rule that if A and B line up, points A and points B line up to my eye, which I've defined, it's when B and A appear superimposed on my retina. I say that will be a straight line. Now,
why don't we just use like a gun sight?
As long as A is visible and B is visible.
Yeah, well, I mean, again, use a gun. Let's use a gun sight. Like, that's the best, right? So you're going to shoot a target with a gun and a scope.
No, I don't. No, let's not use a gun sight. I want B to be sufficiently far from my eye and A to be.
A gun sight is like you could shoot. There are snipers that can shoot 1,000 meters plus, 2,000 meters.
Yeah. I'm trying to get. What I'm trying to get from you is whether you believe that this rule of superposition, where B is superposed over A, meaning that my I, B, and A will be a straight line. I'm trying to get whether you think that rule breaks down.
If you have an auto level, it'll work for 50 to 100 meters. If you have a sniper's rifle, you can zoom in on a target, and you can hit that, and a sniper can hit a target. If you're going longer than that, you already said before this, I can post that as well in the chat, that stuff gets smaller and lower in the distance. And you agreed with that. You said that's true, even if the level surface of the hockey rink is horizontal. It's like, yeah, it definitely is. The stuff in the distance.
I did show your GIF, by the way, Mike. I did show your GIF for a few minutes.
Oh, thank you.
I would point out that is not an auto level. That is a camera.
No, I said that. I said, well, that's why it's a GIF. And you're zooming in like a rifle scope, and you're looking directly at the opposing.
Well, I don't want to get in the debate, but I don't know of a rifle scope that I can zoom in with.
Good point. Good point. It's what I'm saying is it's further than an auto level. You got longer zoom. So longer, whatever the heck the word is, 32x instead of 100x. The auto level's 32. This is 100. It's going to break down a little bit. It gets fuzzy, but we're zooming in from 2x or 5x to 100x and then zooming back out. And you see the bridge at the other side. It's about 6 miles away, and that's there it is, right there. And if you put 3-foot boards all the way along, you'll see the 3-foot boards on the other side, and you'll be able to skate there. And you can run a Zamboni over it.
So
Like big ski rink.
it's taking
I gotta
a while.
go. It's been an hour. I appreciate it. My wife is getting up, and but I thank you very much. It was a lot of fun, guys. Cheers.
Thank you, Mike. Yeah,
That was awesome.
Well, that was interesting.
yeah. Did you see where I was trying to
Yeah,
get
I,
to?
um, c- I was getting so frustrated wanting to say something there because
Sorry. Yeah.
I've been a competitive long range target shooter for about 40 years.
Yes.
So my 20 magnification telescopic sight, not even my 36 mag one, I can keep a line of sight straight to 1,000 meters with it.
Easily.
In fact, I can do that with a sight that consists of a small aperture about 25 mil from my eye, another
Yeah.
aperture about a meter further away, and the target at 1,000 meters because I've done it. But yeah.
But what was Mike saying? What I was trying to get out of him was we have these sort of 2 points, A and B, just some distance from each other and from my eye. There's a rule that says roughly if you can line them up, meaning one in front is on top of the other, as it were, then you've got a
Yes.
straight line. And I was trying to get to, well, let's line these poles, these 3-foot poles along the canal, line them up with your eye along them. You'll find that the middle ones are higher than the ones at either end. That was what I was trying to get to, but he was
Yeah.
you could see that, right?
Yes. Well, of course, he picked the place where Wallace showed that in action.
Yes, I missed that. Is that on the
That's the
on the
Bedford level.
YouTube, is it?
It's in level. It's in level. It's horizontal. Text
Okay.
thing,
Let me go there.
and the GIF is basically zooming backwards and forwards up the Bedford levels.
Yes, I remember that. Yeah, but what that was meant to show, I've no idea.
Although of course that is looking the opposite direction from which Wallace and
That's correct.
and Robotham they looked the other way because back in the mid 18th century the trees weren't as big and you could see that sort of view in the other direction as well.
Yes, just Farmer's Boy said this is clearly going nowhere from the off. Yeah. It was like nailing jelly to the ceiling, wasn't it? Right?
Very, very much. Let's move to, if you guys don't care, let's move to 24/7. We got 71 people watching. I don't know. Somebody might want to join the general chat with us.
So we join the general chat.
Yeah, so see 24/7 general chat up there. I'll see you guys up there.
I'll take.
Well, I think we left Wally behind, but let me see. I'm gonna move. Can I move Wally? Yeah, move to there. There we go. And there's Farmers.
Hello. I'd like to say that was a productive 50 minutes, but that made me a liar.
Yeah, it's.
No, it was not. It was not entirely productive. My fault.
I think Mickey knew exactly where it was going. And at
Yes.
one point, I thought he was actually going to describe Rumpus's test.
Yes.
But as soon as because he brought up a canal, and then I think he saw where that was going, and it rapidly
Yes.
morphed into an ice rink.
It morphed into an ice rink.
Yeah.
But at one point, he definitely said, I said, well, you are assuming that the surface of the ice, once frozen, will be planar. He ducked and dived a bit, but he did say, yeah, it will be approximately a plane.
Yes.
So the point was not to dispute that factual statement, but rather to say, well, you are assuming that. So you're assuming what needs to be proven. Then he went back to, well, are the poles the same length? Yeah. He said about 5 times, we've planed them, we made sure the poles, yeah, fine, we'll all agree that. All agree they're the same height above the ice. Now, do they form a straight line? Then he ducked and dived.
Yeah. Yeah, but apparently all questions on this sort of thing should be referred back to the NHL.
Yes. Yeah.
Who are clearly the defining the determining body on this sort of thing. I mean, who needs physics? Who needs surveying? You've got the National Hockey League.
Yeah, how does Rumpus ever think he's going to pull off this test with all those damn Zambonis running up and down the canal?
Oh dear, yeah. Not entirely sure that canal's ever frozen over. I don't think it has.
I doubt it.
Oh, it must have done at some point. Like 40, must have done in 39 and 45, because they were both hellish cold winters, and again in 62.
Well, that must have been George Hanachik's mistake. He never used a Zamboni at all.
Ah, yes, of course. Just
Hello, Paul. Hello, Timbo. Hello, Terry.
G'day.
Hello.
Good to see you guys. How the hell do we get 67 people watching at 6 o'clock in the morning on a Saturday?
well, because it's only 5 in the morning over there. I mean, you started at a very reasonable time for me, 10 in the morning.
Yeah.
I'd had a late start and a late breakfast, and you still hadn't got going. Well, that's all right.
Yeah. Remember, this is a good time for all your European viewers.
That's right. Yeah. Judy was very happy. It's 2 hours later for her than it is for you guys.
It's just a nice warm-up for our other stream. But apparently, just to make my house level, Blue, all I need to do is make sure the stumps are all the same level, same length. Forget about the terrain underneath them. Just make the stumps all the same length and my house will be flat as a die.
Heck yeah. That's the classic flat earth mistake. They absolutely can't make themselves understand that horizontal and level are not the same. That's a mistake Mike makes. He's been making it. He keeps talking about horizontal being an elevation change. It is not.
No.
Well, you say that, but someone else said Mike could see which way it was going and changed it. So does that not suggest he can actually see?
Oh, they know the argument. Yeah, they understand the argument. They don't want to get into it.
What does he believe? That's
who knows.
Who knows?
Well, I mean, you can get a pretty good idea. I mean, he takes most of his cues from Bev, and Bev is insisting he's not a flat earther. Just ask him what the shape of the Earth is. He won't answer you.
He won't answer.
Or he'll say, "I don't know," or "We don't know," or "It's unknown." I mean, they know perfectly well what the shape of the Earth is.
In which case they're lying.
Yes, well, they are. They're all liars. Is what they do. Prove me wrong.
I had thought with Mike. Mike was on good behavior. Mike did okay, I thought. He didn't lose it like he did with that the pigeon chess discussion. we did not have. In fact, I lost it twice, if you recall.
Yeah, but you'll notice that he said at the start the only rule he's got is don't insult me, and within mere moments of that, you know, he's basically inferring that everybody is a slob because he's the only one who's out and exercising.
Yeah.
You know, it's do as I say, not as I do. I don't know.
Unfortunately, I didn't get to. He held it up so well. I actually wanted to discuss this because.
Let me get it up on screen. Hang on.
Yeah.
Yeah, I wanted to see the rest. I was going to ask you if you'd show the rest of your slides. So,
Yeah.
go.
So let's go back to the propositions. We didn't even discuss the rocket thing.
No.
Whether things always appear smaller and lower with distance. And let's go back to the moon. It's true, I did agree. Yeah, things generally, things always look smaller with distance, but do they always appear lower? Or rather, do things that appear lower, are they always more distant? And here you've got the moon. You can all see the moon clearly. You've got a hillside. So clearly none of that is at the horizon. We didn't even get to the discussion of what below the horizon means. So you've got this hillside going up. The right hand side of the moon, the right hemisphere or quarter sphere, isn't it? Is all visible to you. The left hand side, the bottom left, is not visible. Now, if the Flerf explains the moonset and the sunset as the moon getting further away from you, how is it you can see the right hand side of the moon, but not the left hand side? Logic and common sense says, well, actually, the bloody thing's just getting obscured by the hill. Now, I don't know how you'd answer that. There's also the question of, well, none of that is under the horizon. It's the hillside is all above the horizon. Yet you see the same effect here when the moon appears to be going below the sea. This is a picture taken in Miami. You can just see a boat on the bottom left. So you've got what is apparently the same effect. Part of the moon is being obscured by stuff in the distance. In the first case, the moon behind the hill, you'd want to say, well, it's just being obscured by the hill. It's not getting further away from you at all. In the second case, where it goes below the horizon formed by the sea, Flerf wants to say, well, that's happening because the moon is getting further away from you. And then we say, well, it looks to be just the same effect, doesn't it? Plus, and we never got to angular separation. We never got to that. It's provable that the angular separation, the angular distance or width of the moon is the same wherever it is in the sky. You can prove that with just a simple test. Literally rule of thumb, can't you? I think the thumb is, well, I've forgotten. Half a degree?
Half a degree, yeah.
The thumb is roughly half a degree at arm's length.
Thumb is, right, and at arm's length, your thumb will actually cover the moon, won't it? But you can form a little device like a catapult sort of site, and you can a sort of fork. You can prove the moon is the same angular width wherever it is in the sky. Why is it its shape is not being deformed by setting? You know, that's what I wanted to ask him, but we never got that far, sadly.
I never believed.
Why are your moontips upside down?
Thank you. Who is that?
No, it's the right way up. He's just Australian. Just excuse him.
Yeah.
Matt, I think you're overdriving your microphone a lot because you're very muffled.
Okie dokie.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we never got that far. Defined angular
by the
separation.
Way,
Sorry.
You could have picked a photo of a telescopic site where the crosshair was actually pointing at the target.
Yeah, you're a little low on that shot.
Yeah, but Yeah.
Really
low
low.
and
Gonna hit
left.
the snow.
Yeah. Hey,
So just so I understand, is it pointing too low or too high or what?
It's
too
pointing
low.
too low. You're
Below.
gonna hit the ground just in front of the target.
Yeah, fine. That's
Given
fine.
that
Maybe that's where he was aiming,
Yeah,
or she.
could be a little
given
Kentucky
that
windage
is,
and Tennessee elevation going on there.
yeah, I'm going to say, given it's zeroed for that distance, I mean, it could well be zeroed for much further out, and therefore he's having to aim low to get it to hit correctly. But
Well, you
we
get
don't
it to
know.
wiggle around a little bit, just sticking a camera up to it like that too.
Well, yeah, I mean, whenever I've done that, I've always had it set up on a bench rest, but then
So
the
when you
competition
shoot these,
required the rifle set up on the bench rest.
so when you shoot these bloody things, you have to compensate for, first of all, the fact that the bullet will curve slightly under the influence of gravity. Correct?
So you have to make it a parabolic arc, yes,
Right.
and
But if,
of course wind, and of course the drag of it going through the air.
but if you have a laser,
And the
if you have a
spin of it,
laser, that will be
Yeah, and
perfectly
the spin
straight.
drift
and
and the
Coriolis.
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 But
Hey, ballistics calculators have Coriolis in them.
but where I regularly shoot at Bisley at 1,000 yards,
Yeah, it's not no matter.
the Coriolis effect is one click of the sights, whereas on a windy day the wind is maybe 10 or 15 clicks of the sights.
Right.
Can I confuse you more? And what if it was a moving target?
Well, then you're also predicting the motion and aiming in front of the target's motion as well. Been there, done that.
Where the target is
With a
going to
rifle.
be when the bullet gets there, right?
Correct.
Oh, so loud.
Yes.
Oh, well, it's still loud, is it? I don't understand why.
Matt,
Yeah.
take your microphone out of your mouth.
Yes. I don't understand why.
Wow. Yeah, it is overdriving.
It's always moving, that target, 15 degrees per hour.
But not relative to the firearm.
No.
Peter Harrington. If it's sighted for 1,000 meters and the target's 200 meters away, it would be a hell of a lot lower than that.
Yeah.
It would be about 39 inches lower than that. Sorry, a good meter.
So why didn't Mikey use the picture of them sighting down Bedford level with the auto level?
Oh, well, we all know that
Yes.
answer.
He asked
Well,
rhetorically.
I'll tell you why. I'll tell you exactly why. When you show that picture, then you see how much drop there is.
Yeah, they don't like that photo.
Nope.
But the auto level.
That's when they say, oh, you know, you'll see something different when you use a camera to take a photo through an auto level. You know.
So are they really saying? Are they really saying that if you look through it, you see something different to what the camera sees? Are they? Do they really mean that?
Yes.
Yes.
Because they know exactly what that photo displays.
And attaching a camera to an auto level affects the vision too, apparently.
Of course, yes. Because unfortunately, one of their tribe, no names, no pack drill, blood sticker, thank you very much, took a photo from the bridge at Welney, down the 6 miles to the bridge at Salters Lode. And when you actually look at where the crosshairs are, they are way above the bridge at the other end. But those two bridges they're not exactly the same height, but they're not far out. There might be
3 feet.
I don't know, half a meter in it. But it's like, well, if you're using an auto level on one bridge, why are the crosshairs, you know, many feet higher compared to the bridge 6 miles away? And we all know why that is. So they have to come up with bullshit excuses to explain it.
Well, the latest is Bev is going to now get another auto level and point them at each other. That should be interesting.
Well,
that one.
It's just going to do exactly the same thing, isn't it?
Yeah, they're both going to be shooting way the hell over the top of the other one.
Yep.
Yeah, but I bet you he'll claim that they're the same because they're both the same height above each other when they look through them.
Well, if they've set them up right, they will be. Because they're obviously looking over the same distance and there's the same amount of drop.
And he'll say it's not a problem. They're just 5 meters above each other.
Oh, that's what you expect to see on flat Earth.
Yeah. Doesn't work, of course, but that'll be something they'll claim.
I think the Wallace test was stronger, which didn't. Well, he did both, but the test where you don't have an auto level, which requires extra assumptions, you just have 2 or 3 poles, and you just look along the line of sight. You've guaranteed that they're the same height above the canal, and you see the middle pole higher than the other. I don't understand how they can explain that. That's an undoubted effect.
They can't, and that is related to Rumpus's test. If he ever does it, he's going to have a series of targets along that six mile length.
Well, I thought Rumpus proposed 2 tests. One is the one I've just described, the Wallace one. The other is to have extendable poles, so that they line up to sight, and then you'll see that you'll see that in order to match the auto level and to line up to sight, the end pole, the furthest pole will have to be higher. Correct?
Yes.
The infamous Rumpus pole.
Yeah, the Rumpus pole. I really am regretting taking that bloody photograph now, but that particular one is it's something like 5 miles away from the bridge, and that will be the tallest one because obviously it's the furthest away. But yes, that is the idea, that you can set up an auto level on Welney Bridge, and you can view all the way down to the other end at Salters Bridge, and on the right hand side there'll be a series of targets, and when they all line up in the auto level, and on a clear day you can easily do that, when they all line up, you'll see that the further away from Welney Bridge you get, the higher the targets are off the riverbank.
Correct.
And that's it. I say that's it. It actually does. It's a hell of a lot of work to get these bloody things there and set up and working.
Because you have to extend them. There's the extendable bit of it.
Yes, they are. They're extendable, and in theory they have a built-in tape measure so that you can see exactly how high the target is, and it's all been all the mounting points have been properly surveyed, and the heights have been measured from the water of the canal, and typical Rumpus. Every detail has been thought of, and then some.
So he's planned that. Well, he's a project manager. Should I say that? Yeah. He likes
I mean, it's his idea. He's doing most of the work.
Yeah. But they're all sort of crowing that nothing's happened yet, aren't they?
Well, yeah. I mean, we were getting. By the time we were getting close, it was getting towards the end of the year, and it was just the wrong time of year, the wrong weather. This is not something you want to do in the middle of winter.
Sorry, which year are we talking about?
We were out there
last year.
No, it weren't last year. Was it the year before? Might even have been the year before that. I can't remember now. But I think it was 3 years ago. And then Rumpus had got problems with his back and he couldn't do it. And then COVID hit. And of course that just fucked everything up, So I don't know. I don't know what's going on and when it's liable to happen or anything. There's a lot of work involved.
Next time you talk to him, farmer, ask him to bring a Zamboni.
What? So we can plane the canal flat.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh dear.
You
have to get in contact with the NHL and clear it with them, obviously.
No, but it can't work because the Zamboni can only work within a container, and we already established that the container is the ice rink, so therefore it won't work.
Well,
and you need 3 pieces, and you need wood that's 3 foot long or something, don't you?
Yeah, thanks.
I think correctly it should be 48 inches. I think I saw that somewhere in the side chat.
Oh right.
Yeah,
Okay.
that was in the side chat. 48 inches. Yeah.
Bloody freedom units.
I know.
Well, that's actually. I think Rumpus's targets that are on the end of these poles are even bigger than that. I'm trying to remember now. They're quite a size.
Yeah, they'd want to be visible at 5 miles with just a 36 times magnification.
Yeah.
Given how small even a 48, given how small a 48-inch aiming mark looks at 900 meters with the same level of magnification.
But as Bev and his crew showed when they went to Welney back in April, when the conditions are right and when it's clear, and you do have to pick the right time of year and the right day and the right time of day, but you will find that you can clearly see from Welney to Salters Lode 6 miles away. You could see the bridge, and you can see when somebody's standing on the bridge if it's clear enough. So having a range of targets down the riverbank. Yes, you can quite easily, when you've got all, I can't remember whether it's 4 or 5, I've forgotten now, but when you've got them, all running down that riverbank, and you can say, okay, you set it up at target 1 and say, right, target 2, go up, until you get to the end, right, target 5, you're really going to have to crank this thing up now, go on, higher, higher, higher. You'll quite easily get all 5 lined up on the crosshairs of an auto level when the conditions are right. But like I say, obviously you're viewing over 5 or 6 miles, so you've got to get it just right. Otherwise, the last target is just going to be a blurry mess.
Yeah, strobe would be a really nice thing to look at, wouldn't it?
Yeah. But like I said, that one photo shows that in when the conditions are right, you can clearly see from one bridge to the other through an auto level.
Oh yeah.
And you can see the crosshairs are a good 20 plus feet higher than they actually are from the device that you're using.
Did you do the maths on that? Where would you expect to see the crosshairs?
I worked that out. About 17 feet, I think, above that bridge.
Which is sort of, there was one picture we saw with the crosshairs on the top of a tree, wasn't there?
Yep.
Yep.
That was a different picture. That's the one.
Yeah, I was going to throw in about 1/10 of a degree.
Yeah, those trees behind the Salters Lode Bridge, they're quite tall. I mean, if you go on Google Maps and go on Google Street View, that's about where it stops. You can't get onto that bridge, but you can have a look around and I know from memory that those trees are quite tall. So those crosshairs are way above the bridge by a considerable margin. And you think, well, why? Because the height difference between the two bridges isn't an awful lot. There is a bit of a difference, but it's maybe not even half a meter, Well, and yet for some reason the crosshairs are right up in the trees and not. Well, you can actually see in that photo, you can see the two guys stood on the bridge. So that's auto level from where the photo's taken. So why the crosshairs all the way up there?
Well, you can even see his 16-foot pole.
Yep. Well, most of the details, the actual fine details you're seeing, I don't think were took from Welney, were they?
Not sure.
Because you've that section in the top left, that's the crosshairs from the auto level at Welney Bridge. But the photo you superimpose that on was Bev walking several hundred feet up the bank from Salters Lode.
Right. That's right.
So I don't think you'd be able to see much of that detail from Welney, but the crosshairs are the image where you'd see them from Welney, 6 miles away. And of course, the question is why the crosshair's so high when those two bridges really aren't that far apart in terms of height. You'd expect to see those crosshairs, not too far off where the two characters are and next to the measuring rod. So why are they so much higher? Well, there's only one reason for that.
What would that be?
Because the Earth's not flat.
But the objection to that was that if you put a camera in an auto level, it distorts.
Yes.
Distorts geometrical relationships.
Yes, they've never explained why that actually is, but as soon as you mount a camera on the back of an auto level, it somehow affects what the auto level's seeing. I don't know.
And just to be clear,
could I address? Sorry, could I address that? You have to remember that the reticle can suffer from parallax. So if you do not place your eye the center of your eye correctly behind the eyepiece of the auto level, the auto level the crosshair can appear to be off slightly. I mean, not much, but a little bit. That's also when you tend. No, that's also when you tend to get the little black bits around the edge of the image because what happens is you see the inside of the tube instead of seeing the image.
Yeah.
And the same will happen with the camera. So what you need to be doing is ensuring that the optical center of the camera is correctly aligned with the optical center of the auto level's output through the eyepiece. And you'll know that because you will see the image as a complete and proper circle.
Yes.
In the image, and if I've done a lot of photographs through the eyepiece of a telescopic sight.
Well, they've got all their bases covered, though. If you take a picture through the eyepiece, then you've done something or the other that makes the image that you see no longer valid. If you just look through the eyepiece and write a number down, you're cheating.
Yeah.
Yes.
So there's apparently no way to use an auto level.
Sounds about it.
Except on a hockey pitch.
Yes. Presumably that's an NHL approved auto level.
NHL approved.
That's not a hockey pitch. That's a skating rink.
It's a skating rink.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, it's a skating rink.
A hockey pitch is surfaced in grass. Hopefully surfaced in grass.
Oh, you gotta love a pedant.
we haven't used grass for a long time.
Yeah, all
no,
right.
So you haven't.
No,
isn't it a bit hard to skate on ice hockey to grass?
Look, my daughter played hockey. I've got to be a pedant.
All good hockey's played on turf, astroturf, water base, and it's not level.
Yeah.
No, pitches aren't level. If they were they're not flat. If they were flat, they wouldn't drain properly.
No, that's right.
Is a rugby pitch in Gloucester that suffers from that?
Sleet in the chat says apparently auto levels can detect when people or cameras are looking through them. Yeah, I never thought about that, but that may be true.
Well, it must be the chip that's inside them, like the chip that's inside all telescopes, to make sure you see exactly what NASA sees.
Yeah.
Look, must be true because you only see images of when people have been looking through them. So.
Yeah. There you go. That's a proper example in Level is Horizontal of how to take a shot through a scope.
Yeah.
Where we're looking. Live chat.
They must be quantum telescopes, hey? what you see when you actually look through them is not what they see when you're not looking.
Do you know this could be heading into, and I hate to say it, this is heading into orphan red territory.
Yeah, what does
Awful
the,
red.
when nobody,
Cameras on probes that we send out to space can't possibly be taking photos because there's nobody there to see them taking photos.
yeah, what does the scope do with that image when nobody's looking through it? Where does it put it? Yeah, that's a good. That's a good picture, Alan. I'm showing that to
Thanks.
YouTube right now.
I was quite pleased where that last shot went.
Looks like right dead damn center.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's very impressive.
Best one in that group.
The target is at 50 meters from the rifle.
Is that with the 2.2?
That is with a rimfire, yeah.
Yeah.
But remember, there's quite a lot of breeze blowing them damn bullets around, and they're not very heavy, and they're not going very quick.
No.
And they don't have that good of a ballistic coefficient either. So yeah.
That's a 22.
Yeah, that's my 22 match rifle. My daughter came second in the 25 meter competition at the 2010 British Bench Rest Championships using that rifle and scope.
Looks
when
good.
she was 13 years old.
Earth is Life has got some images there too.
Yep. Again, nicely shot, because you can see it's lined up because
Yeah, you see the full
circle
image.
of the image
Yeah.
the circle of the image is actually completely circular.
Right. If you back
And that
off a
only
little bit with that, then you get a fuzzy circle, not a clean one.
Yeah. You need, because all scopes have a thing called eye relief, and you need to put the entrance pupil of the camera optical system at that eye relief point as well, so the distance behind the optic. Very important with rifles, of course, because otherwise, when the top of the scope bites your eyebrow, plenty of blood is spilled.
Oh, I've half mooned myself before, believe me.
Oh, that's not that second one is what happens when you don't get it right.
Yeah, like that. Yeah, when you pull a Barrett up to your shoulder, you tend to pay attention to where your eye is in reference to where that scope is.
Yeah, even a 308 you do that with.
Yeah.
Yeah, been there. Had a guest when I was coaching at an open day at Bisley. Ignore my instructions to keep his eye well back from the scope. Pushed it right up to it and fired my rifle.
Oh shit.
Yeah, fortunately he didn't damage the scope. He was very surprised when I got somebody to go and get me some tissue paper to mop the blood up from the rifle, and then told him to go with the range officer to get a bit of first aid. I wasn't really caring about the claret on him. It's just blood is incredibly corrosive when it gets on metal.
It is. Very true. What time's your stream, Timbo?
About half an hour. I've booked it for, but you can start anytime.
Hey, shout out to Lael in the YouTube chat, $5 super chat. And Lael says, if you walk to first pole and last pole, measure the length from the ground. You don't need to look down the auto level. Huh? Okay.
I don't get that. What was that?
Yeah, it's in the YouTube chat. He says, if you walk.
That's in YouTube chat. Hang on a sec. I'll have a look. Yeah. If you looked in first or last. Oh. That doesn't make sense.
Yeah, I'm having a little issue with it too. That's okay.
What if the
Well, this has been.
I think that's the flat Earth claim somehow.
Yeah, I think so. I think that's what he's doing.
if you assume the Earth is flat, maybe.
Well, this has certainly been all kinds of fun, guys. But at this point, I think I'm about ready to end the stream and
Thank you, Blue.
go find something to eat.
Thanks for hosting.
Yep. Okay, guys.
Hey,
I'll
my-
post-
Cool. Before you shut off, let me just quickly go find. Oh, Timbo, you can do it. Post a link to your stream in the side chat so everybody can come.
Yeah,
join
I'll
us
do that.
in half an hour.
Yeah, I'll do that. I'll put it in here.
There you go. Everybody watching, Timbo's put a link
I'll throw one in
YouTube.
I'll throw one in your Discord for those of you that were in that channel. But yeah, you're welcome.
Cool.
Oh, we'll see you then.
Yeah, so we're all going to take a little break and reconvene over at Timbo's place. Everybody join. We're going to have more fun. I don't think Mikey will be around, though, but whatever.
Paul's got a gravity demonstration, I believe. So
I have a nice
Looking
hard
forward to
quiz with a gravity demonstration, and I also have a quiz on song lyrics too.
Excellent.
Ah, I shall miss that.
I'm certain I'm capable of sucking at both of those topics. All right, guys. Thanks for showing up, everybody. I appreciate it. Good way to start the weekend. And with that, everybody say bye to YouTube.
Bye,
Bye,
YouTube.
Bye.
bye, YouTube.
I'll see you guys on the next one.